We started last time in the section 4, organic reaction. We said we have types of organic reaction, starting with the substitution reaction. If you have a group of atoms, replace with atom or a group of atoms. Okay, and we took this example, like if you have methane that combines with chlorine, so they form chloromethane and hydrogen chloride. So you change it or replace the chlorine atom with hydrogen atom. So it forms two other compounds that they combine from the substitution reaction. Another example, if you remember that, when fluorine replaces chlorine in carbon tetrachloride. Why? Because the fluorine is stronger than and has electronegativity more than chlorine. That's why the fluorine can replace the chlorine atom, and by its continuous reaction, so you can every time replace the fluorine with chlorine atom. Okay, in carbon tetrachloride to form carbon trichloride, fluoro trichloride. Okay, and so on. Then we talked about the addition reactions. And the meaning of addition reaction, you added atoms to unsaturated molecule. Okay, so increasing the saturation of this molecule. That's why it doesn't happen in the alkanes. It occurs in alkenes and alkynes. Why? Because the alkanes are saturated while the alkenes and alkynes are unsaturated. And in general, we use addition reaction as hydrogenation, as we explained before. And the meaning of hydrogenation, to replace the bond, the triple bond or the double bond, with adding a hydrogen atom. So the hydrogen atom can remove this double bond into single bond, and you can add the hydrogen atoms instead of the double bond. Okay, so look at this. You have here a double bond between two carbon atoms. By adding a hydrogen atoms, a hydrogen sorry molecule, so the bond released, and there is two atoms connected here to the carbon atoms. So you removed or liberated the double bond and added the two hydrogen bonds instead of this. Okay, and this process is called hydrogenation, which means you add hydrogen atoms instead of the double bond in this molecule. Okay. After that, we talked about the condensation, and you should remember the condensation because we are going to explain it again or take this part again in lesson today. Condensation reaction means if you have one in which two molecules or part of them, the same molecules combine together. Okay, two molecules or parts of the same molecule combine together. Look at this. You have here two amino acids. They can make a condensation reaction, which means a combination between each other, but in these between two these the end of the first amino acid and the starting of the second amino acid, because here we have hydroxyl group and hydrogen, so they can form water. Okay, and the bond between the carbon and nitrogen generated or produced, and the water removed from these two molecules. Okay, so all what you did here, that you remove the water and combine two molecules to make a dipeptide, which is a type of protein from two amino acids. Okay, and this reaction is called condensation reaction. After that,
مستر هو النهارده اخر حصه؟
yes, today we have the last lesson for explanation, and next time inshallah we have a general revision for the whole curriculum, the organic chemistry. Okay, on Tuesday inshallah. So we still have only one session. Okay, elimination reactions means if you have a simple molecule such as water or ammonia, liberates from the molecule. For example, if you have ethanol, so you remove the water HOH, the hydroxyl group, plus a hydrogen atom, to form ethane, which contains a double bond here. Okay? So the elimination and the addition reaction are opposite to each other. One you add a hydrogenation, one you remove, but the difference in the compounds itself, one you add a hydrogen, for example, and one you remove a water for the other compound. Okay, so you eliminate the water from the molecule. That's why it's called elimination reaction. Maybe you eliminate something, not water, for example, ammonia and H3, and so on. It depends on the type of molecule that this chemical reaction. Okay, and this reaction for elimination, dehydration, which means you remove a water from this molecule. Addition, you add a water, you add the hydrogen, for example. Okay. Today we are going to start in polymers, and polymers means large molecules, and these large molecules made of smaller units, which are called monomers. So the polymers made up of monomers, which means smaller units that connected together to form polymers. Okay? If you have the same molecules that connected or combined together to form the polymers, if they are similar, it's called monomers. If you have a molecule and another one, two different monomers, so now they are called copolymer, which means the two monomers or more than two monomers to form a polymers are different from each other. When we take the example, you are going to understand what I'm saying right now. Okay? This is the meaning of polymers. From the polymer reaction, you can make an addition polymers, which means that a polymer formed by addition reaction. You add the same monomer and they combine together, okay? But to make an addition polymer, you just have here a double bond, okay? And it's repeated a lot. So to add the monomers to each other, you need to remove or liberate this double bond to form a single bond and its continuous reaction to form a big polymer. For example, here you have CH2 double bond CH2. Okay? And by the way, the letter N represent that you have a long number of monomers, but they have the same this molecule, CH2, CH2. Okay? If you make an addition polymer to this, which is ethane, you remove the double bond and it becomes CH2 single bond CH2, okay, and it repeated again. Okay, so what did you do here? You remove the double bond and it becomes here a single bond instead of the double bond in the origin molecule. Why we did this? To form a polyethylene or polyethylene, but the common name for it is polyethylene, which means that the CH2 connected to CH2, 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 and so on. Okay, that's why we put this N here. It represents the number of this molecule that repeated again. Okay, so what did you do in this addition polymer? You just replace the double bond with single bond. Okay, so now you have a two branches that can connect it to other monomers to form a long chain. Okay, so it changes the monomer to polymer, but this monomer contains a double bond. Okay, why we remove the double bond? To make a chain from the same monomers that can connect it together. You have any question in this part? So the meaning of addition polymers, you just, if you have contained double bond, it becomes a single bond, and you have here branches that connected to another monomers. They looks like each other, That's why they repeat it again. And instead of writing the whole equation or the whole molecule, you write the same molecule and the letter N, which represented how many monomers connected to make this polymer. If you have, instead of N, 10, for example, or 5, so you have 5 CH2 repeated 5 times. If you have 10, so this part repeated 10 times, and so on. Did you understand the meaning of the letter N and the meaning of changing the double bond into single bond? Okay, to form the polymer, so you need a branch, and for making the branch, you need to change the double bond into single bond. Okay, and by the way, because they are similar to each other, I repeated the same molecule. That's why this polymer is made up of monomer, not copolymer. Okay, we agreed before that the monomers similar to each other, so they are called monomers combined together to form polymer. If the monomers differ from each other, so that's why called copolymer, not monomers. Okay. For example, of polyethylene that we commonly use it in daily life, look at this figure. Here you have different products like the they are made up of polyethylene, by the way, all of them. Okay, but the difference here from the density of the polyethylene that we use. Okay, you have some linear molecules of polyethylene can pack together to form HDPE, which means a high density polyethylene. Okay, like the bottle of milk and water. You can see it in front of you. Okay, sometimes we use a low density polyethylene. Okay, uh, this is to make the bags and so on. Okay, and sometimes we use the cross links or cross linked polyethylene. Okay, to make the container that we put it a lot of things inside it. So all of these products are made of polyethylene, and it depends on the density and the manufacturing process to produce different types of materials. And regarding to the density, you have a high, you have a low, you have a cross-linked polyethylene. Okay. Do you have any question, guys? Condensation polymers. The polymers here formed by a condensation reaction, which means they must contain two functional groups. To understand the concept, look at the equation in front of you. Here you have hexane diamine, which means you have how many carbon atoms? 6, hexane. And the meaning of di, you have two amine functional groups. So here you have NH2 and NH2. That's why it's called hexane diamine. Okay, and here adipic acid. Why? Because you have a carboxylic group, COOH. Look at this again. So here you have two amine functional groups, and you have here acid COOH. Okay, the end of hexane diamine contains a hydrogen atom, and the beginning of adipic acid contains hydroxyl functional group. Okay, so you can remove this as a water, producing a water, and the remains part connected together to form all of these molecule in front of you, but not water. Okay, so you remove the water here, you can see that it form a water, and the rest of these, the two molecules combine together to form nylon 66. Okay, Did you understand the concept? So this is you make a condensation polymer, which means you remove a hydrogen and hydroxyl group to form water, and the rest of the two molecules connected together to form a polymer. But this is, for example, is it from a monomers or copolymers, and why? Of course, it's copolymer. Why? Because this polymer is made up of two different monomers. One is called hexane diamine, and one is called adipic acid. So this polymer, the big polymer in front of you, the nylon 66, it's made up of copolymers, which means two different monomers, two or more different monomers. Okay? So did you understand the concept of polyamides and polyesters? So all what you need to make a condensation polymer, which means you produce in a water and the rest of the two molecules connected together. But why they called this polymer nylon 66? Because you can see in front of you that the hexane diamine consists of how many carbon atoms? Six carbon atoms. And the adipic acid consists also from six carbon atoms. Okay, that's why it's called 66. Why? Because it contains six carbon atoms from the first monomer and six carbon atoms from the second monomer. And to be sure that you have here the letter N, which means it can be repeated for a large number of these polymers. Do you have any question? You can unmute yourself if you please, if you have any question. Okay, guys, so this is the last part, this section and this unit. The product of polyamide that contains adipic acids, which is monomers, and hexane diamine, which is monomer. So it's called copolymer, and is known as 66, nylon 66, because each of the monomers contains six carbon atoms. That's why it's called nylon 66. And you know that it's most widely used in all synthetic polymers all over the world. Do you have any question, guys? Okay, so I will solve the section review, the first five questions, and maybe we have a next time, inshallah, a revision, a final revision for this section, uh, to be sure that you understand. The first one, the first question: can an addition reaction occur between chlorine and ethane? And be careful that it's ethane. Why or why not? No. Why? Because the addition reaction occurred for the double or triple bonds. Okay? But ethane saturated. All the ethane molecule contains single bonds. So there is no addition reaction for them. The addition reaction occurred for the unsaturated molecules. You should have a double or triple bond. Okay, so this is the answer for the first question. Of course, no, because the addition can occur only for a double or triple bonds. Okay, and you know that ethane is a saturated hydrocarbon. Does an addition reaction increase or decrease the saturation of a molecule? It's logically addition, so it increases the molecule, doesn't decreases the molecule. Okay, addition means you are increasing the molecules. Question number three: the condensation reaction between two amino acids has a water molecules as one product. Which functional groups are the sources of them? All atoms in the water molecule. The water molecules comes, if you remember that, from a hydrogen and a hydroxyl group. The hydrogen comes from the amine group, and the hydroxyl comes from the acid. If you don't remember that, you have here the equation. Here you have the amine. We took the hydrogen from the amine, okay, and the hydroxyl from the carboxylic acid group, okay. So you remove the H from the amine and the OH from the acid. This is the rule to make a condensation reaction. Number four, explain how the elimination reactions could be considered the opposite of addition reaction. And by the way, I said this before while explaining this part. An elimination reaction results in the formation of a double bonds, okay? While the addition reaction results in the loss of the double bond, okay? So in the elimination, it decreases in the saturation, while in addition, an increase in the saturation occurred. Okay, elimination means you decrease, addition you means that you increase. Okay, guys. Question number five: We can why can a molecule that has only one functional group not undergo a condensation reaction to form a polymer? Because when a molecule that has a single functional group takes part in the first step of a condensation reaction, no functional groups remain. That's why you can't continue make a condensation reaction. You have only one functional group. So by making a condensation reaction in the first step, you remove this a functional group. Okay, guys. Okay, this is for the section review, and inshallah, you will upload this video on YouTube if you want to revise it again. I finished. If you have any question before leaving, you can ask. Okay, and see you next time, inshallah.